Welcome. We're so glad to have you here today. This is the FY2022 Professional Development for Artists Grant Panel process. Thank you all for being here with us today. First of all, I'm Martine Collier. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council. I will be serving as the panel facilitator today. Also from the Arts Council staff, we have Eileen Blake, who is our Strategic Initiatives and Communications Coordinator, and she will be serving as the scorekeeper today. But the most important people in this process are our panelists, and they've been working hard for a number of weeks, reviewing the applications, filling out their score sheets. All four of our panelists today are board members of the Arts Council, and I'm going to call on each of them to give a brief introduction so you have a little bit of understanding about their background and what they bring to this process. And if we can, we'll start with Theron Butler.
Okay, thank you, Martine. Hi, my name is Theron Butler. I have been serving with the Arts Council for a couple of years. I'm an avid art lover and performer myself, mainly in the theater performance space as well as dance, with about 30+ years of performance. And some of you may have just recently seen me in Stageworks, an Outcast theater production of Dionysus on the Down Low this past summer in July. And so I've got another couple projects that are coming up as well. So for the fall.
Great, well, we're going to go boy, girl. So Andra, you introduce yourself next, please.
All right, thanks, Martine. Hi, everyone. My name is Andra Richardson. I'm happy to be serving on this panel today. I have a BFA in Fashion Marketing and Management from SCAD. Then I went on to get my MBA, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in Communication, but have always loved the arts. I'm from Atlanta, so I was involved up there, and now I'm down here in Tampa and serving on the Hillsborough Arts Council Board, and happy to be here.
Wonderful. Tyler, if you'll introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jay Tyler Odell. I'm happy to be going into my second year serving with the Hillsborough Arts Council. I'm also an independent religious studies scholar and a financial analyst for the University of South Florida.
And last, but certainly not least, we have Sandra in her beautiful pink dress today.
Thank you, Martine. I have also been on the Arts Council for a couple of years. I work part-time for a not-for-profit arts organization called Arts for All Florida that works with arts and individuals with disabilities. I am on the board of the Gasparilla Festival of the Arts and have been an art enthusiast and an art lover for many years, and have served on some previous grant review panels.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. And I want to emphasize again to those that are attending today, this process would not be possible without a whole lot of sweat equity put into it by these panelists. So, and they're still working at it today during this meeting. So we are very appreciative for their efforts. I'd like to take the opportunity very briefly to provide everyone with an overview of the panel procedures we will be following today, just to make sure we're managing expectations. First of all, we will review applications today, starting in alphabetical order by the applicant's name. All applications are eligible to receive up to 100 points and must receive an average of 70 points or more to be considered for funding. Panelists who have noted a conflict of interest with an applicant will be identified and will not participate in the discussion of that applicant. Although each panelist has reviewed and scored every application, a first reader has been assigned randomly to each application. So what the first reader does, they complete a more thorough review of each application and will begin the discussion of that application. All panelists will then be able to add any comments. Panelists have an opportunity following the discussion of each applicant to make changes to their score sheet. If there is a change in the original score, panelists are asked to announce that their score has changed and identify in what category it has changed. There also is a final opportunity for the panelists to change any of their scores at the conclusion of the panel review. Once this process is completed, the scores are final. The panel's recommendations for funding are taken to the Arts Council Board of Directors for approval. Grant awards are for full funding of the amount requested in compliance with allowed expenses, beginning with the top scoring grant until funding is depleted. Grant agreements with these grant recipients are scheduled to go out prior to the end of the calendar year. Funded projects must take place between January 1st, 2022 and August 31st, 2022. Costs incurred or obligated prior to or after this period will not be reimbursed. All expenses claimed for reimbursement must be accompanied by receipts dated within the funding period and submitted via the online grant system no later than August 31st, 2022. And very important, the funding for this program is through the generosity of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. We so appreciate their understanding of the importance of artists to this community and their investment in this process. So it's with that behind us, I think we're ready to get started. Our first applicant today is James Bennett, and the first reader is Theron Butler.
Okay, thank you. So James Bennett is requesting equipment in the 2D, 3D medium. He has 7 or more years of experience, and it's for a custom coin minting set. The artist is looking to transition from full-time educator currently to a fine arts creator of custom coin work that can be collectibles and looks to actually incorporate the coins into paintings or sculptures. He has a wide variety of extensive career experience since the 80s with exhibitions and publications. So if I take a look at my scoring information. Do you want the individual score criteria or just the total score?
You know, we're going to call for the scores after we finish the discussion. So anything else you want to add about James before we open it up to the other panelists?
The only other thing that I had was really some of my additional comments were around the medieval influence, which was evident in the work samples. And I thought that the concepts described in the coin minting and the way it will be incorporated to further distinguish his style and brand was really well done. And that there were, in my opinion, based on the cost, it was very modest cost estimates that he had proposed in relation to the creativity and innovative way that it would be able to expand his artistic footprint.
Other comments?
I agree. This is Sandy. I agree with their, and in particular, his assessment that it is a very modest cost for what I thought would lend a lot of creativity and some new and enhanced direction in his creative process as he's been doing for many years.
Anyone else? If there are no additional comments, then we're ready to score. We will start with our first reader, Theron.
Okay, and did just the total score?
Yes, just the total score.
Total score of 94.
Tyler.
Total score of 88.
Andra.
88.
Sandra.
97.
And can you give us an average score, Eileen?
Yes, it comes out to 91.75.
Very good. Thank you. Our next applicant is Dion Blackwell, and Tyler is our first reader.
So Dion Blackwell has been working on a series of vessels called Nagage. I cannot pronounce it, but a Japanese term meaning flowing. Looking at some of his works and speaking to a colleague of mine that has been doing ceramics for a few decades now, I found this application rather interesting and knowledgeable on the actual practical applications of ceramics. The actual work samples he gave were representative of what I thought to be a strong long-term commitment, and the budget was also appropriate to that as well. Overall, I found the application very interesting.
Yeah, the other thing that stood out to me really about this one, if I go back to my notes, is I was really impressed. I don't know as much detail around the pottery. And so I was really impressed, though, as after reading the application, to learn how he had gone about sort of cobbling together some unconventional methods because of the equipment that he was asking for, and thinking about the ability to still produce those vessels. His on his website, and the vessels were just, they blew me away. So it's sort of, I thought to myself, well, that's what you can do without the real proper equipment. I can only imagine what's going to come forth from having, the only proper equipment. So,
Any other thoughts?
Yep, I felt the same. I felt like the work samples were clear and they demonstrated a high level of creativity, originality, and artistic technique. And it was really easy to understand how the equipment will help take Blackwell's career further. The only thing I felt where there was a disconnect was between the reference links and the item description in the budget section. The product and price from the second link wasn't included in the budget description. And then also the furniture kit was listed in the budget description, but no link was provided for it. And then there were no dates included for the work samples, so I didn't know if they were recent or not.
Anybody else? Well, in that case, we're ready to score. We'll start with Tyler.
I gave Dion a total score of 96.
Andra.
96.
Sandra.
Mine was 83.
And Theron.
97.
You would give us the average, Eileen?
Yes, it comes to a 93.
Very good. Our next applicant is Khadijah Gittens, and Andra is our first reader.
All right, Khadijah Gittens is a digital artist seeking $700 to invest in the CG Master Academy course on the art of color and light. Gittens' art is infused with emotion to create an aesthetic that invokes feelings of love, nostalgia, relief, and more. Her art also includes witch aesthetics to add an element of magic to remind viewers that there is magic even in what may seem to be ordinary things in life. Gittens' goal as an artist is to break into the animation industry. She is self-taught, so being able to attend the CG Master Academy would allow her to gain some formal training and build an industry-ready portfolio. It would also help her further develop her eye and ability to communicate stories through artistic expression. And lastly, she hopes to be able to complete more works quicker after gaining new skills in color harmony and lighting. I personally found her work samples to be captivating. Each piece captures a beautiful moment in time and is easy to feel the warmth and the magic that Gittens spoke of. However, it would have been helpful to know the date each sample was created, but overall, her application made it easy to understand how the educational experience will be helpful to her career. And then following one of the links that she provided, the webpage points out which companies have hired past students. So I thought it was good to see that. And then lastly, the course webpage states that it's an 8-week course, but the application indicated that she would invest in the course in January, on January 7th, and be done on the 14th. So could have used a little more clarity there. But other than that, I'm sure that Her talent combined with the CG Master Academy will be sure to propel her forward.
Thank you. Other comments?
Yeah, I wanted to just echo Andrew's comment there. I thought the imagery was beautiful, really captivating. The color choices, the lighting, and one of the things I thought was really nice in the history and sort of the work that she presented there was under the evidence of consistent personal enrichment and exploration over the years, really showing the commitment to learn more and keep trying. And I thought that was really good.
Sandra?
Yes, one of the things that I did notice, which for me did help reduce the score, was in terms of the courses that were mentioned, or the course that she mentioned. I had noticed the same thing as Andra, but also when I went to the website to look at the courses, the course they announced was going to be occurring this October, and they didn't have a schedule of future courses, which there may be someplace else, but I didn't see where the courses were listed, and in particular, the course that Khadija was mentioning she was interested in. So that was a little confusing to me and left me a little uncertain exactly what she would be participating in. I found her work interesting and creative. I do know somebody who has gone into sort of the animation field, and it is a difficult field to break into. And so getting additional course experience and building relationships with instructors who may have connections to business seems to be very helpful for people moving in that direction.
Any other thoughts? If not, we are ready to score. We will start with Andra.
95.
Sandra?
I
I have a score of 70. I would like to change one or two of the categories and bump it up a little.
So
Can I do that?
category?
Commitment to career. I'd like to add 3 points to that.
How many?
3.
3. Okay.
And also under artistic excellence, I'd like to add 3.
So a total of 6 additional points
Yes,
combined. So that would make it a 76.
yes.
Okay. Well, since we, Theron
92.
and Tyler
78.
and Eileen, do you have an average for us?
It comes to 85.25.
Very good. Okay, our next applicant is Pamela Jo Hatley, and our first reader is Sandra.
Pamela Jo Hatley has been a musical performer ever since she was about 5 years old, and started her career in Appalachia, where she grew up. She's a musical performer who focuses in particular on creating original music and original arrangements of traditional Americana. She is requesting $2,000 toward a new Deering Vega long neck banjo, which is something that is very conducive to her style of music and performance. The total price of that is actually more, but she will pay the difference out of her pocket. Music has been part of her life. She's played a variety of instruments, and she has performed at numerous festivals and is a member of the Celtic Conundrum Band. I'm not familiar with it, but I listened to all her samples, and I thought her writing of original music and her voice itself were very, very good. I really enjoyed listening to the pieces. I think she clearly stated her artistic goals and how updating the instrument that she has would be of benefit to her, both by continuing to perform with the band and in festivals, but she also wants to expand her career as a solo artist. And I thought in particular that she was interested in also moving in to conduct workshops and private lessons. And I think that we don't often nowadays perhaps hear as much of this style of music as we might have, or perhaps where we live. And I think individuals having an opportunity to attend workshops would be a great enhancement to our cultural appreciation. I thought her application was very clear, very concise, and to the point. And I thought her work was compelling, creative, original, and that the application exemplified high standards.
Thank you. Other thoughts?
Yeah, Sandra, so much of what you said is, spot on. That's exactly how I felt. And I really like the aspect of, I believe this is the one where she was talking about that ability to take in someone to help train so that they can learn the methods of playing a banjo. I had no idea how expensive a banjo is. And again, I thought that the samples, I loved listening to, her tone, the musicality, the songs themselves. So was very, also just like the difference of this as far as a request and what it'd be used for. So just overall, really well done.
I thought her first sample, I believe it was called Through My Grandma's Eyes or something similar to that, was just a stunning creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other comments? If not, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Sandra.
I gave her a 99.
And Theron?
95.
Tyler?
92.
And Andra?
98.
And our average, Eileen?
It gives us a 96.
Thank you. So our next applicant is Macy Higgins, and Theron is our first reader.
All right, so Macy Higgins is asking also for equipment. She has been in the discipline of painting for 4 to 6 years, 2D and 3D art, and it includes jewelry, design, sculpture, and installation art. And this was, again, this was something that I really enjoyed reviewing because the request is for a Glowforge 3D printer. And it would enable Macy to do both the expansion of the jewelry component, but it will cut wood, fabric, and acrylic. And this is another one of those exciting things where the opportunities of the Arts Council bleed over, where I had an opportunity to go to the Quaid Gallery a couple weeks back where another member had invited us. And I saw samples of Macy's work there, the hearts. And it's wonderful to see that and then have something where, there's a little bit more detail around what the artist brings and their creative desire and where they want to expand. And this particular Glowforge 3D printer will allow there to be custom original jewelry where then she can expand the quality So you're able to make it the precise model or mold, and then replicate that over and over again, not losing the quality as you make duplication. It allows her to cast a silicone mold that can be replicated to her own specific dimensions. So overall, I thought the application was well done. A nice variety of supporting work samples, and I just want to check if I have any other wide variety of support samples, creative forms, and strong Instagram presence.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other thoughts?
Yes, I took a particular interest in this and being quite familiar with the Glowforge, as I've used one for a personal hobby of mine. Looking at her Instagram, I could see almost limitless potential that she would need tens of thousands of dollars of other tools in order to achieve anything similar to what she's currently doing with casting and the like. I found the work phenomenal.
Excellent. Anyone else? In that case, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with you, Theron.
97.
Tyler,
95.
Andra,
100.
and Sandra,
95.
and our average, Eileen.
It comes out to a 96.75.
Perfect. Thank you. Our next applicant is David Jenkins, and Tyler is our first reader.
David Jenkins is a theater artist and educator, and his application specifically was for something simple, a GoPro. Something that I was quite interested in with this application is the attempt to use such a small device for something as big as the project he is proposing this for. He's trying to run essentially recording the rehearsals from different perspectives in order to accommodate for innovations within a theater environment and allow people to rehearse and understand and learn in new ways. The budget write-up was clear and appropriate, and his experience going back to, I believe the earliest I saw was the early 90s, shows a very strong dedication to this project.
Anyone else?
I did have a question. I like the proposal a lot, but I did notice I did go on to the Amazon site to look at the camera, and it did make a comment that it was not in stock and they didn't know when it would be filled. And I just note that because the person may need to be very in tune with the parameters of the grant and getting the item.
Sandra, the grant period doesn't begin until January 1st, so they have some time to get it back into stock, or he could find another vendor if he is funded. So there are some, we do these grant adjudications so far in advance of the grant period when someone can actually purchase the equipment that we have to be mindful that a lot of things, including the prices, can change, and we always make adjustments for that. So, but that's very astute point. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I just too, similar to Tyler, I was, I thought to myself, it's like, gosh, I can't believe that no one else is really, the theater companies that I've been working with, no one else has really thought about how to blend technology into helping them. And, you know, in this pandemic, to be able to have a creative team, not necessarily have to come to a rehearsal, be able to stream things, see it from a different perspective, come back to it after, to allow to see whether or not whatever you're trying to convey in a particular moment, does it read that way? I just thought, I was like, what a creative way to bring technology into theater in a novel approach. So I was just impressed.
Any other thoughts?
Yep, I totally agree. It was really clear to see how the GoPro would impact production and help improve working relationships. And then I did also agree with Sandra. I could have used a more detailed cost breakdown, but other than that, I thought it was a good application.
Anything else anyone would like to add? If not, we are ready to score, and we will start with Tyler.
Total score of 96.
Andra,
97.
Sandra,
96.
and Theron.
100.
Very good. Our next applicant is Rebecca Kruger. And
Martine,
yes.
do you want me to really quickly?
Didn't get to the average. Go right ahead.
It came out to a 97.25.
I checked it without asking you. My apologies. So our next applicant is Rebecca Kruger, and the first reader is Andra for this application.
All right, Rebecca is a mixed media artist looking to invest in portable studio lamps with stands and replacement bulbs. Inspired by her past, she uses her art to open discussion on mental health and abuse. Her vision as an artist is to release the societal teaching that one's struggles shouldn't be discussed. Rebecca's short-term goal is to fully support her family with her work, and in the long term, she wants to open Oob Goob, which would be a nonprofit, all-inclusive art studio open to the public with after-school care, where her professional studio would also be based. She currently works with one studio light, which limits her ability for evening painting. And having the ability to paint in the evening is crucial for Rebecca because she's a single mom of 3. The more time she has to create in the studio, the more success she can have out of the studio in the community promoting her work. And she plans to place the 6 studio lights she's requesting in various spots in her current studio. She plans to move studios in the next year, and installing lighting isn't an option, so the portable lights will be useful. And in her application, Rebecca provided current work samples, most of which were from 2021, so that was good. Each piece of work uses color and rhythm beautifully and displays creativity and originality. And overall, it was clear to see how the requested lighting will benefit Rebecca's career.
Anyone other thoughts?
I got a little confused. I thought the artist statements were powerful, and the narrative for the artist reasons were impactful too. I was a little confused just a bit between, I think in the narrative I got the 6 lamps, but then with the budget breakdown and when I went to the links, had a little bit to come up with the 130 each equals the 780. The only other thing that was concerning was, I don't know why, maybe it was, I kept trying, but I think the website would go from, when I tried to look at some of the prints for purchase, it just felt like it went to a different website that then was in a different language. And I just couldn't draw the connection. So
I had a little bit of that same difficulty, and I wasn't quite clear why that was happening. And
okay, well, at least thank you, Sandra, because again, sometimes I worry when we're doing these because we're not talking to one another or anything like that. So I'm like, I don't know, am I doing something weird or not? So.
Any other thoughts? Well, in that case, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Andra.
100.
Sandra.
84.
Theron.
72.
And Tyler.
91.
And our average, Eileen?
That comes to an 86.75.
All right, our next applicant is Jennifer Miller, and the first reader is Theron.
Jennifer Miller is focused in the 2D and 3D sculpture medium with more than 7 years, and is also seeking equipment. And it is a specific type of wheel, pottery wheel, the Whisper pottery wheel with splash pan. Her art forms focus on the elements of scale, space, and relationships between surfaces. I thought that this application was concise, and the creative pieces sort of draw you in. So her artwork and creative pieces reference objects of domestic banality, ritual devotion. There was a bit of, I had some confusion and challenges around the listing of the samples in their particular order. I think that they were sort of jumbled in the attachment. And there was a lot of other details besides just the pottery wheel in the budget support, which just made a sort of cluttered feeling to the request. And just had overall, I think if you just sort of take a look at it, to be able to eliminate some of those unnecessary items can help strengthen the overall applications in the future.
Any other thoughts? Anybody? Otherwise, if we think Theron covered it, we'll go to our scoring. Theron?
82.
Tyler?
97.
Andra?
99.
Sandra?
85.
And what is our average, Eileen?
It gives us a 90.75.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Jim Mitchell, and Tyler is our first reader.
So Jim Mitchell is a cinematographer. Most of the work samples are these short clips that, to quote his application, explores formal structure of cinematic mediums and psychological states. He is asking for a very particular type of lens that I believe will help with his work. However, I will say I really would have appreciated some more explanation here as to why he was making the films, what he wanted to do with these films. It was for the first few sections where he describes these, it's one sentence or two each. So I'm a bit confused as to where he's going with all of this. However, the explanation where he talks about how the actual lenses would work is succinct, and it makes perfect sense as to how it is going to help him. The need is there. I just would have appreciated a bit more explanation as to how this art would have impacted him or affected his artistic choices.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I share that comment, Tyler, on wanting to know a little bit more about what exactly the psychological components, the things that he's looking to do to move his art form forward. The other thing was, what would have helped me was there was a mention of over-reliance on the use of other stock footage. And I was sort of curious as to what kind of savings or cost avoidance that this new tool, this lens, would help him avoid to help strengthen the argument for funding.
Other thoughts or comments? If not, we will go to scoring. Tyler?
86.
Andra?
92.
Sandra?
76.
Theron?
81.
Our average, Eileen?
It's at 83.75.
Very good. Our next applicant is Allie Norman, and Andra is our first reader.
All right, Allie Norman is an artist working primarily in printmaking with the focus in copper etching. She's looking to invest in a stump shear for copper cutting and shaping. So using automatic writing and dream journaling, she creates narrative landscapes that invite viewers to immerse themselves in another time and space. In October of 2020, she opened Labyrinth Studios, a community print shop and gallery space supporting emerging artists and focusing on providing access to continued learning and equipment. Norman's goal as an artist is to preserve the knowledge of printmaking techniques and hold space for people to learn and grow as part of a community. She was previously an adjunct instructor at the University of Tampa, where she had access to a stump shear, but now that she has gone fully independent as an artist, she no longer has access to that equipment. So a metal shear would not only open new doors for cutting larger plates, but would also reduce waste and allow her to repurpose copper plates for new projects. Copper is also infinitely cheaper in larger pieces that can be cut down, which would significantly reduce costs for her practice. Overall, I thought her application was detailed. It was easy to understand the need and impact of the equipment. Her resume demonstrated a commitment to career, and the work samples were recent. Each sample showcased a high level of artistic excellence.
Other thoughts?
I have visited the Labyrinth in the past and seen some of the copper plates in person, and the detail and intricacy and patience that gets poured into them is mind-blowing. The work itself, I thought, I'm excited to see when real tools get similar to another application. I'm excited to see what happens when real serious tools get involved with this process and what's going to come out of it.
Anyone else? Okay, then we can begin scoring, and we will start with Andra.
100.
Sandra.
98.
Theron.
89.
And Tyler.
97.
And our average, Eileen?
It's a 6 overall, or 96 overall, sorry.
Okay. Our next applicant is Beth Piazza, and Sandra is our first reader.
Beth is a visual artist, primarily focused on stained glass mosaics. She has over 7 years of experience, and in the past, she did a lot of painting. She's requesting equipment in the amount of $1,878 for equipment that is woodworking type of equipment, sanders, planes, saws, clamps, and things along that line. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with that style of equipment. And she's requesting the equipment to really help enhance and strengthen the quality of her work, the opportunity to do more structural types of pieces and larger pieces, and be able to not only exhibit in more places, but actually be able to take on commissions. And she feels that she would have greater opportunity to sell pieces. She enjoyed painting, but she feels that through stained glass is mesmerizing. The process of seeing light through her creations is really quite beautiful in the samples that she has shown. She builds structurally lighted and larger pieces. She would like to use the equipment to have more cleaner and viable designs. And I thought in one of her samples that she showed of a table that I think illustrated how having this equipment would enhance the ability to create these larger pieces in a cleaner, more refined way. She has a BFA from USF. She has exhibited in a variety of little more local shows, and also in a number of art-related fundraising activities with Florida Craft over in St. Pete, and Southeast Guide Dog Association. Her samples were creative in design. She used a lot of color and light. I did talk about the one particular example where this kind of equipment could enhance what she does. She had detailed information about the equipment, where to get it, how it would work. Her proposal was fairly easy to understand, and related her goals to her request.
Other thoughts? Anybody? Well, if not, oh, who's that? Anybody? Okay, well, we'll start with you for scoring then, Sandra.
Okay, I gave an 88.
Okay, and Aaron,
92.
Tyler,
89.
and Andrew.
100.
Our average, Eileen?
It's a 92.25.
Very good. Our next applicant is Anthony Record, and Theron is the first reader.
Anthony is has 7+ years of experience in painting and medium influences of nature, climate impacts, and socioeconomic status of marginalization of those that are most impacted in these communities by climate change in the South. He's seeking funding for equipment to help continue his artistic process and catalog how he creates these rather large pieces that often have really intricate patterns, shading of light and dark. And so the overall application, I think it really supported his extensive artistic experience. There were a variety of supporting materials, but I wasn't really sure that I grasped the how in which the picture taking documenting of the process would enhance the paintings as they're presently presented or captured. And so that was just the only reason that there was a little bit of a lower score there on the need and impact. But other than that, overall, solid application.
Other comments? Okay, well, then we will start scoring with you, Theron,
86.
Tyler,
97.
Andra,
100.
Sandra,
85.
and our average, Eileen.
It's a 92.
Our next applicant is Corey Robinson, and Tyler is the first reader.
So Corey Robinson is an artist, both graphic and otherwise, I believe a mixed media artist. I have a difficult time explaining what his art looks like without having the images in front of me, but I will say it is almost emblematic of a popular trend in more modern or contemporary art. And through it, I see a strong sense of the self, and where the art is being shared, I also believe it has good examples of artistic techniques in the example. His proposal for a Apple laptop and a specialty large format printer makes sense with the pardon, need new glasses. The purchase of the laptop and the printer make perfect sense for his artistic ambitions of just trying to make people happy. And in addition to the printer doing that, he also has shown if I'm remembering correctly, a very large amount of exhibitions in the last couple of years. having that printer would allow him to continue to do so. I found the art, while not traditional, I found it compelling.
Any other comments?
I agree. I felt that the work demonstrated artistic excellence. It had an intriguing cartoonish flair with playful characters and a successful use of color. And the consistent exhibitions and public art listed on Robinson's resume displayed a commitment to his career. The main discrepancy I found was that neither of the reference links went to a web page with a product description and cost, and there was no additional document to help support the proposal in that way.
And that was my biggest challenge. I thought, I was like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but the links I couldn't find, and because I'm not as familiar with that, I was trying to sort of Google search and see what that is and where the costs showed up, but then I stopped. So, but because those links didn't go anywhere, that was my biggest challenge.
Anyone else? Well, then I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Tyler.
I scored him a total score of 93.
Andra,
93.
Sandra,
92.
and Theron.
73.
Our average, Eileen.
It's an 87.75.
Our next applicant is Selena Roman, and Andra is the first reader.
All right, Selena Roman is a photographer seeking $2,000 for a strobe lighting kit. Her work explores ideas of femininity, perception, liminality, memory, place, and how the invisible offers more answers than what's visible. Through the use of color, costumes, and props, she creates alternate realities and identities in her photographs. And in her current series of photographs entitled XS, Roman's body unapologetically occupies a space within the frame. With this series, she's able to create a quiet resistance that subverts traditional ideas of beauty. Her goal as an artist is to create thought-provoking, lens-based work and exhibit at respected art institutions and galleries locally, nationally, and internationally. Additionally, her goal is to make a published book of her photographs. For much of her career, she has depended on natural lighting, which can create issues with consistency among images in a series. So by having a dedicated studio lighting kit, she can control the lighting and shoot at any time, day or night. Additionally, Roman gets asked to take headshots and document artwork for local artists. She's had to borrow or rent the equipment needed in the past, and sometimes she's had to decline a request for that reason. So having her own lighting equipment would allow her to take on more opportunities like that. Overall, her application was clear and detailed. The work samples provided were all recent and of quality, with most of them coming from her new XS series. And I thought the use of composition, shapes, and colors was engaging and demonstrated artistic excellence.
Other thoughts? Well, in that case, I guess we're ready to score. Andra,
100.
Sandra,
93.
Theron,
90.
Tyler,
96.
and our average, Eileen.
It's a 94.75.
Okay, our next applicant is Cindy Ryan, and Sandra is the first reader.
Okay. Cindy has been a textile and fiber artist for about 4 to 6 years. She likes to create unique textural pieces from materials found in nature and from repurposing clothing, silks, and pieces like that. She also likes to combine the knowledge of chemistry that she has in helping her with creating dyes in the printing process and in some of the burned elements of these fabrics. She's requesting equipment in the amount of $999 for a more portable lightweight and safe type of sewing machine to use for creating her work. And this would enable her to increase the size and scope of her work, which would afford her more opportunity for higher level exhibitions. Right now, in the past couple of years, and her work samples have primarily been, I believe it was since 1918, but in 20 and 21. As a result of a catastrophic injury in 2018, or despite that, she has continued to create art in these smaller fabric designs. And she is ready to introduce more detail and depth to her work. She currently does not have a sewing machine. So the sewing machine itself would really be a very helpful element to helping her advance in her career. She has been in a number of smaller exhibitions since 2018. Her samples have been since 2020 and 21. She's exhibited very nice work with nice use of color, different kinds of stitching patterns and different types of fabrics and designs. The samples were very pleasing to look at and kind of gave you a sense of wanting to sort of touch and experience the element itself. Although she's newer to her artistic career, she has demonstrated a consistent pursuit and strength and strengthening of her career as a working artist.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say that this was another one of those ones where I had an opportunity at the Quaid Gallery to see I believe one of her pieces. And it did. Sandra, it evoked the wanting to, I was really interested in the fabric and the print and wanting to touch it and take notice of it. So I just wanted to say it's nice then when this bleeds over, we're able to see some of the
I'm glad you were able to see some.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments? Well, then I think we're ready to score, starting with Sandra.
I gave her a score of 85.
Theron,
92.
Tyler,
96.
Tyler, I have a different score for you. I think 82.
Correct. Yes, 82.
Okay.
and Andra,
100.
and the average.
It's an 89.75.
All right, very good. Our next applicant is Satso Satruski, and Theron is our first reader.
I really enjoyed this. It is for an equipment request to support the performance medium that she works in. It's for a keyboard, a vocoder, and looper. And I was really sort of blown away by the understatements and the variety of technical skills of what she's doing currently with her work samples. I explored her website. That was a real treat. She's focused in jazz fusion, which blends some of the classic songs that you might have heard, really changing the rhythms, harmonizing with herself, putting visual interest in it. And some of the work samples also showed her singing, which was just beautiful in her native tongue. And they just had a lot of tone, arrangement, and imagery. And I found that there was a lot of detailed explanation for how and what the technology will help support in the creation of her music and the changes for the sound of her voice. superior skills illustrated in the work samples using visuals, unique arrangements, and her instrument, which is her voice. So really stirring performances, and was really impressed with the overall application.
Other thoughts?
I had a little bit of difficulty when I first read the application. I got a little bit lost in kind of the description and making the connection of how what she was asking for would be used to enhance it. I did go to the website and I did go and listen to the samples, and that really helped a lot and really made me have a much greater appreciation of what she was requesting and also how lovely her voice.
Anyone
The
else?
same. I was a little confused at first on what exactly the need and impact was, but I agree her performances were amazing. The other thing for me was that in the reference link section, it didn't include links to the equipment.
Anyone else? Well, then I think we're ready to score, beginning with Theron,
98.
Tyler,
93.
Andra,
91.
Sandra,
Mine is an 82, and I'm wondering if I never went back after I listened to the music.
so
Can I increase my artistic excellence score by 3?
absolutely. So that would make your,
85.
okay. We could do that. And with that included, what would our average be now, Eileen?
It's a 91.75.
0.75?
Yes.
Okay. All right, our next applicant is Karina Stevenson, and Tyler is our first reader.
Karina Stevenson is, in my mind, looking through it, an accomplished costume designer, having done this for well over a decade now. From what it looks like on the application, almost all pencil and paper, I am astounded by the complexity of her work, both from a distance and up close when they are shown in a theater environment. Her application is asking for an iPad Pro and a pencil to go with it to continue growing her ability to create, design, and showcase her ability in a theater environment. I think the budget is clear. The overall application is rather concise. And yeah, I was very interested by her work.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to echo again. I was like amazed by same thing, looking at the work and saying you're able to do all this in the absence of what you're requesting, and the longevity and the variety of types of materials and costumes that she produces and designs I was just blown away too. So,
Any other thoughts?
I have a comment. I also was amazed that she didn't have this equipment and how beneficial it would be and how interesting her work was. I was unclear, and I'm not sure that affected my score. In her samples, if she created all of those costumes, or because she was showing some stage performances, or which one of those costumes or the whole array of them. And that was a little bit unclear for me. And that made me hold back a little bit on some of her score.
That
And
was unclear. I'm sorry.
I don't know if someone knows the answer to that.
Yep, I agree, Sandra. That was unclear to me too. I would have loved to see work samples of her costume designs themselves as opposed to performances, so that we would have known exactly what she created.
Okay.
Well, I can say that just knowing how job site typically works, that I think she's one of the few, and I can't recall in the application, but I think it might show on there that part of what her paid role is as the actual costume designer or producer for job site works. So at least I can say if there's anything on the resume that reflected a job site that those certainly were 100% created by her.
Any other comments? Well, then I think we're ready to score, and we'll start with Tyler.
Total score of 93.
Andra,
97.
Sandra,
90.
Theron,
98.
and our average, Eileen.
It's a 94.5.
All right, our next applicant is Patricia Velaquez, and our first reader is Sandra.
Sandra, I think you're muted.
I am. Okay. Patricia's background is a little different than most of our other applicants. She's a retired art teacher and is an artist as well. She has been in the arts career for well over 30 years and works in painting, illustration, textiles, and clay. She's requesting equipment in the form of a small kiln, sculpting tools, new brushes, and various furniture kit and various accessories to go with that. She tries to create a foundation for students and the general public to appreciate and interpret artwork and to make art itself more accessible for everyone. She also now would like to be able to create more work that she could get commissions for and to try to sell her work now that she is no longer teaching. And what she would like to do specifically is create a series of tiles to display to the public the Tampa historical buildings, capitalizing on the flora and fauna found in our natural environment. These tools would permit her ability to create more permanent works, because a lot of what she has been doing is more done on paper and more using actual leaves and things found in the natural environment. She's been doing a lot of small work and small watercolors, and some of her samples were also of textile type work that she has done with some commission work from churches and other groups. She started out her career in New York City with an arts workshop that ended up focusing on public art and doing graffiti art in subways, which I thought was kind of interesting. Most of her experiences and accomplishments have been in the teaching field. She received a grant from Citibank to create a slideshow of murals. She was Teacher of the Year twice. She received a grant from National Endowment of the Arts for some of the work that she has done in the school system, which is not a small accomplishment. It's not that easy to get an NEA grant. She showed in her sample, she showed some tile work and activities that she did with within the teaching art career, which were interesting, colorful, focused on the use of products in the natural environment. I do think that the direction she is explaining that she wants to go in with creating these mosaic tiles and maybe focusing on historical buildings or some of these kinds of things in our local area would be appealing and might appeal to local governmental and community organizations. I think I remember that we not too long ago gave a grant to one of the local communities because they wanted to create sort of a historical wall as an entrance to their community. So I think if she continues to cultivate that might be a good direction for her.
Other comments?
This one for me, the narrative was a little hard to follow because of the wide array of artistic interests. And I had a little confusion over the start and end dates. I think the project start date was listed as January 2022, but it was cited for ending August 20 of 21. And then I couldn't locate the bliss time sculpture for 27.99.
I did notice that. I forgot to mention that. I don't know if that was a typo or not, but she did indicate August 2021 that the project would end.
Any other comments? If not, we'll go on to scoring. We'll start with Sandra. Your score, Sandra?
Gotta unmute myself. I gave Patricia an 87.
Okay, Theron,
85.
Tyler,
87.
Andra,
89.
and our average is?
It is an 87.
All right, for our final applicant, D. Yeomans, we have a conflict of interest. So Sandra, since you won't be participating with the discussion, could you just turn your camera off and we'll bring you back once we're done. Thank you. Thank you. So Andra is the first reader for this one. For D. Yeomans.
Okay, Dee Yeomans is a multimedia painter. She's looking to invest in an art storage work table that would allow her to store both finished and in progress artwork. Yeomans' art concentrates on details in nature, bringing to the viewer the world's most beautiful plants, animals, and insects. Each piece of art is made in a step-by-step process consisting of at least 5 layers, making it a one-of-a-kind piece and unique. As a lifelong artist, Yeomans says she has worked to create a style unlike anyone else's. She's looking to gain more recognition, a larger audience, and more sales. She's taken many steps towards her goals by working with a mentor who is an international artist, revamping her website, creating a media kit, as well as showcasing her art presently in a gallery. The art storage work table would further assist in helping her achieve her goals, as she would like to be able to open her studio to those looking to purchase paintings, as well as offering them a clean and uncluttered viewing of her work. It's clear to see the need and impact of the equipment being requested, as well as Yeomans' career commitment. I thought the budget section was a little unorganized, as only the cost of the art storage work table was included. However, Yeomans included the shipping costs along with the cost of an art storage desk In the additional information section, there was no reference link provided for the art storage desk. Also, the webpage for the reference link that was provided did not display any cost, but despite these issues, the estimate document that Humans provided helped clear up the discrepancies in the previous section. And then lastly, the work samples Humans provided are all recent and had outstanding quality, clearly showing a level of creativity, originality, and artistic technique.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to just say that I thought it was wonderful, the testimonials collected from different people who had purchased artwork. And I think we see this more common with letters of support whenever it's a larger organization or entity seeking grant. But for any of our panelists watching, or for our participants watching, if you're ever submitting things, I think if you have a way to have testimonials, for me, that really helped with the need and impact, because it's evidentiary that not only was the work itself very unique with the fact that it's created with these layering techniques of multiple layers, and they were very beautiful to behold, but it's wonderful when people are saying, I love this piece of artwork, I have it up in my home, I asked for this and it was exactly what I wanted, it brings me joy. So whenever you're able to do that, I think it just really underscores and strengthens the application, and I really enjoyed it.
Any other thoughts? Well, if not, we're ready to score. We'll start with Andra.
96.
Theron.
97.
And Tyler.
95.
So this concludes our review of the applicants, but we are going to go through and give all the scores again. Sandra, if you will come, there you are. And Eileen is going to read out the scores. At the end of reading the average scores, if anyone wants to make a change to your score for any applicant, you still have an opportunity to do that. So Eileen, if you will just read us the names and the scores.
Okay, James Bennett got a 91.75. Dion Blackwell has a 93. Khadija Gittins has an 85.25. Pamela Jo Hatley has a 96. Macy Higgins has a 96.75. David Jenkins has a 97.25. Rebecca Kruger has an 86.75. Jennifer Miller has a 90.75. Jim Mitchell has an 83.75. Ali Norman has a 96. Beth Piazza has a 92.25. Anthony Record has a 92. Corey Robinson has an 87.75. Selena Roman has a 94.75. Cindy Ryan has an 89.75. Itsatsu Stratustugi, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, has a 91.75. Katrina Stevenson has a 94.5. Patricia Velasquez has an 87, and D. Humans has a 96.
Thank you, Eileen. Does anyone want to change their score for any applicant? If not, and I hear no one saying that they wish to, then these are the scores that will be brought before the Arts Council Board to be voted on. I'd like to add that the Arts Council has $30,000 to distribute through this program. We thank everyone for applying and for the efforts in our local arts community. Please, nothing is finalized until it's formally approved by the Arts Council Board, at which time applicants will be notified of their grant awards. I want to thank our panel. It is very clear from sitting here and listening to the discussion that all of you delved very deeply into this, looking at other sources and really trying to get to know each applicant and how this would affect their careers, what they're asking for. And that's so commendable. We do appreciate it. And for those that are watching, is a huge time investment to go through every applicant and the way these panelists did. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, we are very grateful to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners for recognizing the importance of individual artists to our community and for funding this program. I would like to mention that there will be a tape recording of this that if you contact us, Eileen can send to you. If you wanted to see it again or you missed something, feel free. Thank you again to all of our applicants and special thanks to our panelists, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Martine.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.